Welcome to the Thriving Artist Podcast, where we share strategies and support for artists to thrive.
We know that the art world can feel like a lonely place, and we want to provide a network of support, impactful strategies, and an abundance of encouragement to help you grow your authentic art career.
We're your hosts. I'm Jamie Smith.
And I'm Kaylan Butine, and we are also the co-founders of the Thrive Together Network, a community of female and non-binary identifying artists and artists who are caregivers.
We truly believe in community over competition, and we're so glad you're here. Enjoy this episode.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the Thriving Artist Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kaylan Butine, and right now I'm really proud of my second group show for our Taking Up Space initiative, and that show is titled Change Connects Us.
And I'm Jamie Smith, your other host, and I'm also in a group show this May for TUS, and we are still working on our title, but it's been so great to work with other artists to make this show happen. And perfectly, of course, our theme for this episode, it's to honor Taking Up Space, where our members are all putting on shows all over the world in the month of May. We're so excited. So our episode is how to get people to come to your art show. Kaylan and I both have hosted a number of shows on our own, and it's definitely easy to feel very tired at the end of the process. You put so much into it, but this is so important. And Kaylan, you use the phrase, the final 5%, and I really like that.
Yes.
I think this fits perfectly for this episode.
Oh, this is totally in that final 5% realm, because the final 5% when you're doing things as an artist is like, you do all of the work, you do the 95%, and then there's these couple key things that you're usually like so tired at the end and you just don't want to do anymore. But those 5%, those final tasks are like really often what make the most impact. And I think this is exactly an example of that, is like doing those key things, the tips that we're going to share with you today to get people to actually come to your show is like the whole point, right? You do all this work, you make all this work for this show, and then it's like, we got to do that final 5% to get the audience there.
And it's really, you're doing it for your future self. You're doing it for your artist self that's at this art show, hoping people are actually going to walk through the door.
Yes.
When you're in it, it's hard to remember that that's where you eventually will end up in this process. So it's really important. And I just wanted to call back to an episode. I recorded one, number 23, and it's called How to Put on Your Own Art Show in 5 Months. So if you're thinking of doing your own art show, it's definitely worth a listen. And in that episode, I talk about a promotional calendar that I sort of teased. And I was like, we're going to talk about that in a future episode. So this is this episode. In month 3 of planning your art show, it's time to set up your promotional calendar. And we're going to touch on that throughout the episode, because our tip number 1 of how to get people to your art show is you need to tell them a lot of times.
Yes, a lot. We mean a lot, like a lot of times. I don't know if you've heard of this marketing concept. It was one that was developed in the 1930s, but it's called the marketing rule of 7. I've heard so many podcasters and like business books reference this, but basically it means that a consumer has to see something 7 times before they will even consider taking action on that thing. So like whether it's coming to an event or buying the thing, they need to see, like be invited or get the information about it at least 7 times. And that was developed in the 30s before social media and the internet. So actually that number now is like much higher. Basically, people need to see something a lot before they're going to take action, before they're going to let it kind of soak into their brains and decide, am I going to put this in my calendar, or am I going to click that thing, or am I going to buy this thing, right? So it's just really important to start sharing early, to start prepping your audience for what they can expect, like what's happening, and to just get them excited. All of those like steps, those bricks that you're laying in the social media, the self-promotion, they count towards this idea, towards this goal of getting people to come to your show on your opening night.
The internet tells us that now in a digital age that it's actually 7 times in a day people need to see something. I know.
Can that be right?
Our attention spans are crazy. They say in the digital age, that's what it is now.
Wow.
So we're not saying you have to do that, but we are saying that starting early and saying it a lot. So I would highly recommend sending out a save the date as soon as you know the opening night of the event you want them to come to, and getting that out to newsletter subscribers and social media as soon as you can. Definitely 2 months. Definitely 6 weeks in advance. 6 weeks in advance is actually where everything kicks off. So save the dates can go out even earlier than that. And the reason to do that is you want your sort of diehard fans, your friends, your family to just lock that in their calendar right away. You want this base of people that typically would definitely come, the people that you can count on. You want to make sure that they know that this is happening. Also, it's great for them to know that you have this big event coming up to kind of support you. So making sure as soon as you can to get that save the date out. It's not annoying. It's just letting people know this big event is coming. Then creating a promotional calendar that keeps you super organized is key. And that promotional calendar should start at the 6-week out. So you should go to your opening night date, count back 6 weeks, and that's when all of your promotion starts, which leads us really nicely into tip number 2. How to get people to your art shows, you need to tell them a lot of different ways.
Yes,
that's
diversify.
Why this promotion, exactly. And having a calendar, Kaylan and I love a plan, but having it written down when the newsletter is going out, when's social, when's your press release happening, when are you dropping off flyers, those have to be printed. It's all of this planning that makes that 6 weeks really get you that last 5% and getting those people there. So it takes some organization, but you really want a mix of ways of getting people to see this information.
Okay. And that leads to tip number 3. Now that we're actually sharing about, the show and getting people to come, we want you, tip number 3, to tell them everything they need to know. It drives me crazy when I see flyers for events or people like asking me to do something or to buy something, and I don't have all the proper information there that I need in that flyer to make the decision, right? So we want you to include the address, the time, the date, any other important information that people need to know so that they can come to your show. There's just nothing more annoying than like seeing an invitation or a flyer and it's like, but the date isn't on there, right? Or the address isn't on there. It makes it hard for people.
Well, and we're so close to it. And so it's easy to forget those details. And especially if you're doing this when you're also trying to finish the art and you're just really overwhelmed, by doing this in the, beforehand and having a plan, and that promotional calendar is really going to help you. Another really important thing to add to your promotion is explaining accessibility of the space. So you want to make sure you're inclusive, you're inviting as many people as possible to your big night. So being super clear on accessibility, where there are stairs, what the bathrooms are like. These are all information that's going to help someone who wants to come. They're giving you the gift of their presence, and make it easy on them, because it's very rare that someone's going to message you. They're going to scroll by, and we want to make sure that they have everything they need.
I will add to the point about accessibility. I love when I see an invitation that has a little asterisk and it says, children are welcome at this event, right? Just so you know, because I feel like art shows are kind of that thing that it's like, yeah, of course, like Jamie and I, the network that we create, we want every event to be inclusive of kids, but it's not always like an appropriate situation to bring your kids, right? And so I think just like stating that is really useful for parents, because then they know, like, do I book a babysitter? Is this the kind of thing that I got to invest, in a certain type of evening out versus like, can I just pop by with my kids and we'll just stay for a few minutes, but we're showing up. So I just think like you said, being as clear and informative as possible.
Well, no barriers for people, right?
Yes.
Make it easy.
Yeah, the point, that's what I was just going to say, is the point is like make it as easy as possible for people, because you're asking them to do something for you, right? You're asking them
Yeah.
to show up for you. And so you want to serve them and make that road for them to travel like as easy as possible for them to get there for you. So our final tip, which, you know, I think is a personal favorite, but also some of like it's the tip that's probably often the hardest, is tip number 4 for how to get people to come to your art show. Invite people in personal ways, and also included, tell them to bring a friend, right? So sometimes promoting on social media is easy because we make the flyer and we can just like pump it out, right? But really what has much more impact is when you take more time to send personal invitations. So whether that's, you know, you go to your neighbor's door and you say, hey, just wanted you to know I have an art show coming up like next week or in a few weeks, would love to see you there. Or you send personal emails to people rather than just sort of your newsletter blast, right? I think that feeling of like being invited to something personally just gives more weight. And I know that I'm more invested. I'm more likely to say yes and to make it happen so that I can be there because somebody let me know that like they really cared and wanted me to show up.
Well, and it makes me go right to my calendar and put it in there rather than I'm on Instagram, I'm scrolling. To leave that app, go into my calendar. I think a big thing if you're feeling, you know, nervous and not confident about doing these types of things, just think about how you interact when people want you to come to something, and think about, you know, what are these barriers that you would need to help, you know, it would make it a lot easier for you.
Yeah.
Because it really will make all the difference. And again, these final 5%, it's so easy to skip this step. And it's so hard when you're on the opening night and people that you thought they were going to come because you assumed don't. And that happens. It's happened to me. And personal emails is really kind of my like ace in the up the sleeve.
Yeah,
I'm not a gambler, as you can tell.
I was like in the hole. Is that where the ace goes?
I know.
Or is that an egg? Is the egg? I don't know.
But it's the smoking gun. Maybe that's a good one.
There we go.
There we go.
Are we using any of those correctly? I don't know.
No idea. But all I can say is this one works. Like if you want to skip all the other steps, don't, but you can. This is the one. By spending a couple hours, it will take you some time. Write yourself a list of like, who are the people that really support you and you'd want there? But then the key here is ask them to bring a friend or two.
Yes.
Really opening that invite and kind of asking for that help. I'd love to see you, and I really want to get this work out there to as many people as possible. Would you please bring your community?
Yes.
With that, though, again, we want to think about how would we react to that? So for me, I would say, of course, I would love to bring friends to that. But then I'm like, what am I going to tell that friend? What do I have to tell that friend to entice them to come with me? Like I can say, well, let's just go to this art show. But what would be better is in that email, you send a little blurb about what the show is, about who you are. These are just a couple sentences, and attach some pictures, because now I can send that to you, Kaylan, and be like, I want to go to this thing. Will you come with me? You open it up. Now we're invested. Now we're excited, and we're going to show up together.
Absolutely.
So it takes this initial effort. It takes some organization, but it really allows your network to work for you, and it will pay off.
Yes,
it will.
It will. And for all of our Taking Up Space artists who are busy working on their shows right now and lining up your promotional calendars and doing just all of this work, you know, just this is a reminder that there's that final 5% that still needs to happen, and we're here to support you and encourage you, and we hope this episode kind of made this simpler for you and can help you strategize. So again, just to recap, number 1, tell people a lot of times Number 2, tell people in a lot of different ways. Number 3, tell people everything they need to know. Number 4, invite people in personal ways and encourage them to bring a friend. So we really hope this helps support you in your art show goals. We hope it gets lots of people to your shows because you're going to follow these steps. And we can't wait to see all of the exhibitions that are going to be taking place as part of our Taking Up Space initiative. If you want to see more about that project, if you're not already involved, go to the hashtag Taking Up Space 2023.
We cannot wait to see these shows. They're coming. And if you like listening to this podcast, we would really appreciate if you would leave a review. It helps a lot. It spreads the word. We want our network working with us. So invite a friend to leave a review.
Yes.
Get that smoking ace.
It's our 5%.
It's our 5%. But no, we seriously really appreciate it. And we love having you here. We love doing this work. So as always, we are here for you. We are cheering you on. We believe in the work you are doing as thriving artists.